Hello all. General Studies syllabus decoding. I am doing the series. I completed ancient India, medieval India, modern India, art and culture, and today it is post-independence. After independence, how the Indian society has been evolved, how the Indian economic system has been evolved, how the Indian political system has been evolved. It has been organized under a topic called as, under a module called as post-independence, which is a syllabus for your mains GS1. Compulsory, we will be expecting 2 to 3 questions from post-independence era. Then tomorrow I will be doing world history. The next video will be on world history, by which the total syllabus of the history will be completed. Then I will be starting with Indian polity. So how we have to prepare? What is the syllabus in post-independence? I will be explaining you now. So how to prepare post-independence? How to prepare post-independence means what are the major events happened after independence? What are the major events which are related to post-independence? We will be discussing. The post-independence era. Challenges before India after independence. So what are the challenges? What are the challenges before India after independence? So communal rights. The independence era started with the communal rights. India versus Pakistan partition. It was not the partition between India and Pakistan geographically. It was a partition on the lines of religion. Pakistan became the Islamic country and India became the secular country. But the majority of the population in India were Hindus and the majority of the population in Pakistan were being Muslim. The total country was being divided into two lines, Hindu and Muslims. Huge communal rights. Huge communal rights. The genocide happened. Nearly 1 million people, means nearly 10 lakh people were being killed in the partition at the time of 1947 and 1948. So the nightmare of the world. The nightmare of the world and nightmare particularly to the India. Why? Because the total number is nearly up to 1 million. So communal rights and regionalism is another problem. There is Hyderabad state want their own country. Hyderabad state, the Nizam of Hyderabad is asking for their own country. So there was regionalistic demands were also been there. Kashmir was also not happy. The Hyderabad was also not happy. The Junagadh was been not happy. So there were issues of regionalism was also there in the post-independence. Consolidation of India, the unification of India was become a very big challenge. Thanks to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, because of which the unification of India became a cakewalk. And the next, partition and then independence. Punjab issue, Bengal issue, Assam issue. Why? Because the East Bengal came under the Pakistan. The East Bengal and West Bengal, East Bengal and Pakistan both together called as Pakistan. Whereas East Bengal, now it is Bangladesh. But once upon a time it's part of Pakistan till 1971. So Bengal partition also happened. The East Bengal joined into Bangladesh. Assam, the Assam was also boiling. The Assam was also was been demanding for a separate country. Resettlement and rehabilitation of refugees. The Hindus who came from Pakistan, the Hindus who came from Bangladesh, or the Muslims who are in Pakistan and Bangladesh who want to stay in India. So the refugees issue was also been there. What was the refugee issue? How the settlement happened? Today we will be calling those properties which were belong to the erstwhile citizens of India who settled in Pakistan now, who got the citizenship of Pakistan. Those properties are called as enemy properties. So enemy properties issues, resettlement and rehabilitation of issues, shift to constitutional democracy. There is a shift. There is a slow shift to constitutional democracy. How we are moving towards the constitutional democracy? Why? Because our constitution was being enacted or came into force from the 26th January 1950 onwards. So how we established the constitutional democracy, and the first elections happened and the first democratically elected government was being formed in 1952. So there were challenges. There were challenges for the independent India that we will be covering in this post-independence. Policy of equal federation 1935, the Indian states. Plan of consolidation, integration of princely states like Junagadh, Kashmir and Hyderabad. The issue of Goa and the Pondicherry. The tribal integration, the tribal were been conflicting. We want separate region, mainly Northeast India and some parts of Central India. The tribal integration also became a major problem. The princely state were unhappy with India. The issue of Goa and Puducherry and the roots of Indian tribal policy, how the tribal policy evolved, whether the tribal were been happy Because of integration with India, whether integration is happening or assimilation is happening or isolationism is happening. With tribal policy, reasons for dismal performance of tribal policies. Tribal, why? Because tribals renunciation means tribals were being against. Tribal oppression was been happening and the tribal uprising was also happening. Reasons for dismal performance of tribal policy. Positive development happened due to states' initiative and issues of language. Issues of language also evolved. What is the official language? Dravidian movement. Issues of language. Whether English should become or Hindi should become. What about the Tamil of South India? What about the Kannada of South India? What about the Assamese of the Northeast India? So the issue of language was also very big issue. So the consolidation of India, because of its diversity, linguistic diversity, ethnic diversity, religious diversity, it became a challenge. The biggest challenge the India faced is consolidation of the country. Framing of the constitution, evolution of the constitution and main provisions of the constitution. Why? Because today also, after 70 years of enactment of the Constitution of India, we are blindly and with full confidence we are following the Constitution, single Constitution of India. With amendments, necessary amendments, but we are following what is our four founders of our Constitution made, that is we are following. Till 90% of the Constitution is the same Constitution. So how beautifully the Constitution was being made, how empirically the Constitution was being made post-independence. Steps to the Constitution, constitutional development, the Indian constitutional main provisions, the Constituent Assembly, the formation of the Constituent Assembly, compulsions and issues in front of the Constituent Assembly. Some sections of the Constituent Assembly asked for Hindu Rashtra, but majority, 95% of the sections of the Constituent Assembly told secularism. These were the challenges. From colony to democracy, challenge of building a democracy. We were a colony to an independent democracy, to an independent existence. How we evolved. Challenges were been there. Pakistan was been going out. East Bengal was been going out. The China was been looking into India. World War happened just 1945. Challenges before Election Commission of India and conduction of general elections. Whether Indians were ready for the elections. Whether Indians were being allowed for universal adult franchise. Whether they are ready. Whether they understood the practice of elections. Why? Because the literacy rate is very, very poor. India, 95% of India at the time of independence is rural India. The literacy rate is somewhere around 20. Then how we can go forward? That were the challenges with the Election Commission of India. Starting of one party dominance, dominance of Congress, everything was under the control of the Congress. 1967 elections. Then we have split in the Congress. Indian National Congress, Indira, Indian National Congress. Then we have emergence of opposition parties after the emergency. Emergency is very, very important. The Jai Prakash Narayana movement at the time of emergency and pre-emergency. What are the factors responsible for the emergency from 1975 to 1977? What is the triggering point? What is the Allahabad High Court judgment which triggered the Indira Gandhi to promulgate emergency, national emergency? Then how it was there in the 2 years, how the administration was been there, how the people were being imprisoned. What are the consequences of emergency? Today also we remember the nightmare of emergency consequences, emergency impact, which comes under post-independence. Economic development and planning, formation of planning commission, first 5-year plan, second 5-year plan, achievements of plans from 1947 to 1967, green revolution, positive and negative impact of green revolution, operation flood and cooperatives, development of land reforms. What are the land reforms? Cooperatives, operation flood, green revolution. All the 5-year plans you have to understand till 12th 5-year plan. Why? Because in 2014, immediately after the formation of the Narendra Modi government, the Planning Commission was been removed and Niti Aayog came into existence. Green Revolution, what is Green Revolution? What are the characteristics of Green Revolution? What are the consequences of Green Revolution? Whether Green Revolution is success or failure, or which regions of the country got benefited by the Green Revolution? Why other regions of the country did not get benefited by the Green Revolution? These many topics will be there. Now we had a second Green Revolution. What is second Green Revolution? Land reforms, Bhudan movement. Yes. Land reforms was a very big challenge after the consolidation of the country into one nation. The second challenge was land reforms. Total jamindars were being there, thousands of hectares of land, lakhs of hectares of land under a single jamindar. And lakhs of people were marginalized farming or agriculture laborers or non-farmers. Then how the land reforms happened? The land reforms were being successful only in two states, West Bengal and Kerala. The rest of India, the land reforms failed. Why? What are the land reforms? Abolition of Jamindari Act, Tenancy Act, Land Ceiling Act. What are these? What are the provisions under this? Land reforms. In this deeper way, you have to understand. India's external relations, foreign policy, strategic issues, features of Indian foreign policy, emergence of non-aligned movement, India and the neighbors. If I see this side, Pakistan is very angry. If I see the Pakistan China was been looking like a dragon. In down south in Sri Lanka, there is a problem of Tamilians. LTT was evolving, liberation of Tamil tiger Elam, Vellupuram Prabhakaran. The first terrorist organization in the world which is having its own air force. The suicidal bombers, the innovation of suicidal bombers started from LTTE. This LTTE is responsible for the killing of Rajiv Gandhi. External affairs with Sri Lanka, it's because of the external affairs. India and Pakistan, we have Indo-Pak War, Kargil War, Shimla Agreement, Tashkent Declaration, Agra Summit. What are the summits? What are the consequences of the summit? What are the declarations of the summit? India and Bangladesh, India's relationship with USA and USSR, analysis of Nehruvian foreign policy. What is this Nehruvian foreign policy? The crisis of democratic order. The JP movement, Jai Prakash Narayana movement, because of emergency, the background of emergency, declaration of emergency, and controversies regarding emergency, politics after emergency. Then after emergency, the second party came into existence. The Janata Dal came into power for the first time in India. 1952 the first government, 1977 the second government. After 25 years of democratic independence, I am telling you, democratic independence. Why? Because independence is 1947, democratic independence is 1952. Why? Because the first democratically elected government became the government of the country. 1952 to 1977, after 25 years, the other party other than the Congress became the government of the India, Janata Dal. Then came the Naxalite movement, very aggressive Naxalite movement. Very aggressive Naxalite movement. Very active Naxalite movement. What are the consequences of how the Naxalite movement came? What is Naxalite movement? What are the characteristics of Naxalite movement? Who are the leaders in Naxalite movement? What are the consequences of Naxalite movement? What are the steps taken by the government to control the Naxalite movement? These are all we have to do. Communalism also happening very frequently here and there. With Babri Masjid, the communalism became institutionalized. Secularism and democracy, there was the active educated people were been asking for secularism and democracy. Ayodhya dispute, demolition, and after communalism and use of state power, revival and growth of communalism, anti-Muslim riots in Gujarat, Punjab crisis, anti-Sikh riots 1984 after the killing of Indira Gandhi, Operation Blue Star in the Golden Temple of Amritsar, demand for Khalistan, a separate country. Today also the movement is alive. which started in Punjab, which intensified after the Operation Blue Star. Some section of the society will tell that the farmers' uprising which happened after the Farmers Act on January 26, 2021 is also one of the Khalistani movements are present in that. Khalistani militants are present in that. One section of people will tell. One section of media will tell. Challenges of regionalism. Northeast movement, they are asking for separate country. Nagaland, we want separate country called as Greater Nagaland. The Telangana movement was been there, a long-lasting Telangana movement. Jharkhand movement was been there. Chhattisgarh movement was been there. Regionalistic demands were been there. Separate state demands were been there. The government used to actively pursue this. Tamil Nadu Dravidian movement on language. Andhra Pradesh, Assam, West Bengal, Jammu and Kashmir, external internal disputes. Jammu and Kashmir was burning. Secessionist movements in northeastern India, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Assam, Nagaland, secessionist. We want to separate from India. If you do this post-independence properly, you will understand the Indian society, you will understand the social issues, you will understand how to write proper general essay also. Don't see post-independence from a vacuum box. Don't think post-independence is this. Post-independence is collaborated with ethics, collaborated with essay, collaborated with governance, collaborated with Indian society, collaborated with social issues, collaborated with internal security. Why? Because the background for the internal security is post-independence. Popular movements, environmental movements like Chipko, Narmada Bachao Andolan, party-based movement and non-party-based movement, caste movements, issues of Dalits like Dalit Panthers, agrarian struggles, Bharatiya Kisan Union, Rashtriya Kisan Mazdoor Union, anti-Arak movement, origin and its linkages, Indian women since independence, lessons from popular, what we learned from the popular movement. Recent developments, context of the 1990s. What is the context of 1990s? Liberalization, privatization, globalization, new economic policy, 1992. What changes it brought in the Indian economy? Whether liberalization, privatization, globalization is against socialism. What is socialism? Then what is China's communism? Difference between the communism, socialism, capitalism. Whether we are socialism, whether we are following capitalism, whether we are following communism. We are a mixture between the capitalism and socialism. Alliance parties, politics, decline of Congress, BJP came into existence slowly. Communist Party of India also came into existence in West Bengal. Politics, rise of OBCs, OBC reservations evolved. Mandal Commission, National Economic Policy in 1991 which got implemented in 1992 onwards. Nuclear policy of India, Pokhran, which is once done by the Indira Gandhi, the second time done by the Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Emergency of new consensus, Lok Sabha elections 2004, terrorist activities are increased. Terrorist activities has been increased manifold. The Bombay Taj attack was the bigger thing. So these are all the major events in the post-independence. People will neglect the post-independence. No. If you understand the post-independence, then what I all told you, social issue, Indian society, governance, internal security, essay, ethics also will become easy. Why? Because in ethics you will get examples. The best book for post-independence is Bipin Chandra Pal's book, or Ramachandra Guha book is a very good book. So this is about the post-independence, and the next session I will be coming up with world history, by which I am going to complete the series of history and I will be starting into the history of Indian polity. Thank you.